ਉਹ ਰਹਿਣ ਦੇ ਅਗਰ ਖਾਂਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਆ ਕੇ ਕੱਲ ਨੇ ਵੀ
Hello. Good morning, everyone. Namaskar and welcome to today's session on, it's a special session on Know Your Mind. I am Dr. Sajni Vaidya, and some of you know me as the hostess of the poetry sessions that we conduct for seniors today. I'm also a certified yoga teacher. And during my studies of the yogic philosophy, as well as of the Bhagavad Gita and other scriptures, I learned about a lot of fascinating facts about the mind and how to use it. And I was amazed at the knowledge of our ancient scientists, the rishis. They've given us so much information about the mind, but that is not generally commonly shared with everyone. In schools, we learn how to make a good living, but very rarely are we taught about how to use the mind or understand the mind to our maximum benefit. After all, our life is a mind game. Everything that we feel, that we experience, that we want to do in life, our desires, our confidence, our lack of confidence, everything is felt at the level of the mind. And yet we know, at least I knew, you may all know better than me, but when I started my studies, I didn't know as much as I learned a little later. And that is what I would like to share with you today. When we learn to drive a car, for instance, if we know how to hold the wheel and drive the car, we are fine. But if we get stuck in a difficult terrain and we don't know about the mechanics of the car, about the engine, or we don't understand how to, repair it, then we are lost. And it is similar with the mind. It is a very, very important tool that we have. And it is always good to know a little more about it. So I've prepared a little PowerPoint presentation, and I'd like to share that with you. And I hope that you'll find that interesting. I'll just start sharing my slides. Can you all see this? Can you all see the slides?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. So as I was saying, if we can't manage our minds, can I manage my time? Can I manage the other people around me? Can I manage unknown, ambiguous situations? If my mind is constantly reacting to people's words and emotions, can I really manage any situation? So obviously the answer is no. Similarly, when we buy a new appliance, example, the mobile, isn't it better to go through the instruction manual so that we get the most out of it? Otherwise, we press a few buttons and we definitely can do something with it, just like we do it with our minds. But if we want to make the most of it, then we need to definitely read the manual. So let us understand a little bit. We all know that the life is a mind game, but have we ever learned to understand the working of this fantastic tool before using it? Knowing and understanding the mind early on will help us get the most out of our potential. And this knowledge has been given to us in the Upanishads, in the Vedas, and the Yoga Sutras by Rishi Patanjali. He had written this, the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, 2,500 years ago. And that knowledge is still relevant even today. A sutra is a sentence of few words which is full of meaning, which can be sort of commented on for pages and pages. So the Patanjali Yoga Sutras actually contain 196 sutras, and it gives you a whole journey of your mind from the basic, wherever we are in our daily life, how to make the most of the mind and understand it, to that state of spiritual, sorry, excuse me, spiritual evolution, where you can find self-realization. So these Patanjali Yoga Sutras are actually a wealth of knowledge that we have. We understand yoga to be mainly asanas, but yoga is mainly a scientific approach to using our minds to our best advantage. Imagine the power if we could control the mind rather than the mind controlling us. So I'm going to share a few scientific facts that I came across here. We all know that we are not just a physical body. We have a physical body, a subtle body, and a causal body. The subtle body contains our antakaran, the inner being, which is not manifested, which we can't see, but which contains the mind and the intellect. Some of the rishis, they have dealt with the mind as just manas, as something, as one unit. But some of the rishis have explained the mind beautifully based on four aspects of the mind. One is the mind, the other is the intelligent, the other is the ego and the memory. So it is man, buddhi, chit, and ahankar, which most of us know about. So by training all four, man, buddhi, chit, and ahankar, your entire mind will be in your hands. Your thinking aspect, your memories, your eye sense, if all are trained and elevated to a certain level, we can handle any situation. So let us see what are the different states of the mind. We find ourselves sometimes very restless. You'll find that you can't put your attention to one thing at a time for a long period of time. If you're watching the TV, we keep skipping channels. If we're doing something, we do it for 10, 15 minutes, and then again the mind wanders and wants something else. So the restless and agitated mind is called a shipta mind, right? Then a vikshipta mind is one which can be restless sometimes, and sometimes it can be focused. And we experience that in our lives many times. Sometimes we are able to focus on the work that is in front of us, and sometimes we can't. So that is a vikshipta mind. Then there is a mood mind, which is absolutely lazy and impulsive. It just, such people just get up, eat, drink, laze around, don't really have any goals to achieve or are not ambitious enough. Such minds are called mood minds. And then there are some you will find who are very focused. When they do something, their whole attention is integrated. Their mind, body, intellect is all involved in whatever they are doing. That is an ekagra mind. And those rishis, those sadhus, those siddhas who have been able to master their minds completely are called niruddha minds. These are souls that have worked throughout their lives with discipline to train the mind so that they are the masters and not the mind. Now let us understand the functions of the mind. There are, according to the scriptures, there are 3 functions of the mind and 5 of the intellect. These 3 functions, the first of the 3 functions of the mind is perception, observation, and expression. So perception is through our five senses. Whatever we see, we hear, we touch, we feel, that is absorbed in the mind. So the function is receiving information from the outer world and taking it inwards. So the process is from out to in. Yeah. Then the second function is observation. The mind is also able to observe what thoughts am I thinking? Am I sad? Am I happy? Am I focused? Should I think this? So that observation power is also there, that the mind can observe itself. First is perceiving what is outside and taking that knowledge in. Second is observing itself. The mind can observe itself. And the third is expression. The expression is through mansa, vacha, and karmana, which means through your thoughts, through your speech and action. But mainly, we express ourselves through our speech and through action, which again is from out to in. So, first we have perception, where we receive knowledge from outside, which is out to in, observing the mind, which is in to in, and then expressing what is in the mind outside. So this is through speech and through action. This is the first function of the mind: perception, observation, and expression. The second is continuous oscillation between the past and the future. You'll see that the mind is like a monkey. It is always working from oscillating like a pendulum. From sometimes we think about the past and we regret what we've done, or we are angry about what somebody said to us, or we are hurt about something that happened in the past, some incidents. We keep thinking about the past, or sometimes we are anxious about the future. What will happen if this happens? What will happen if I fall sick? What will happen if my finances, I suffer a loss over there? So the mind is always continuously oscillating between the past and the future. When you think about certain things in the past, then you feel sorry or guilty for what happened, or you're sad at something that happened, or you get angry over some incident that should not happen, and somebody said something or somebody hurt you and you're angry. These emotions, anger, sadness, guilt, or are always connected to thoughts that are there in the past. You can't get angry about something that may happen in the future, or you can't get sad about something that may happen in the future, or you can't feel guilty about something that you may do in the future. But these emotions are connected to your past. Whereas when you worry about the future, you get emotions like insecurity, worry, anxiety, expectations. All these are emotions that are related to the future. But what happens when you try to bring your mind to the present? For instance, now that you are attending the class and your attention is over here, the mind is aware, the mind is still, and the mind is in a pleasant state. You're not anxious about something, you're not guilty about something, you're paying attention to now. So one needs to understand the advantage of being in the present moment. When we are in the present moment, nothing from the future or the past bothers you as much. That is the second function of the mind, continuously taking you from the past to the future and making you worry. The third function of the mind is that it gives you alternatives and options all the time. Whenever you want to do something, there'll be so many options that come to the mind. If I want to get up from the bed, it'll say, oh, do you want to sleep a little more? Why don't you just take a little sip of water and go to bed? When you're having any thoughts in your mind, thoughts also will be either sad or happy, or or do I think this or do I think that? There are options that are given by the mind all the time. If I want to get up and exercise, one thought will be, oh, come on, go and do it. The other will be holding me back. If I want to eat a sweet or a laddu in front of me, the mind will say, oh, you have diabetes, don't do that. The other one will say, chalta hai, one day it will do fine. So these options are given to the mind all the time till the intellect takes a decision. And once that decision is made, then all these options disappear. So these are the three functions of the mind: perceiving, observing. Perception is from out to in, observing is from in to in, and expressing is from in to out. That is the function of the mind. The second is taking you between the past and the future all the time. And the third, that whenever you want to do something, there are always so many options that the mind gives you from which to choose. Now, all these are also based on the memories that and our experiences of the past. So most of the time, the mind and the intellect work based on the experiences and memories of the past that we have accumulated in our chit. We will come to that. So we know that our mind is nothing but a constant flow of thoughts. These thoughts are based on the information we gather through our five senses, as we talked about it, the perception, through books we read, through the social media and the TV programs that we watch and hear, through the company we keep and the environment we are exposed to. So, choosing these inputs wisely would influence the quality of our thoughts. So often we don't realize that whatever we are exposing our five senses to is creating an impact on our mind, is leaving an impression, is creating a memory. And it is these imprints that actually form the basis of the decisions we make. So it is very, very important to choose what our inputs are going to be. What is the information we are actually letting ourselves perceive? These days, for instance, the news, the TV programs, and so many other things are not reliable 100%. Sometimes somebody has said something to you about some third person. आपके दोस्त ने आपके बारे में तो ये कहा, and you have not yet really found whether that information is true or not, but you have hurt yourself with that. You have let that thought fester within you, and you have let that thought interfere with your relationship with the other person, with your good friend. So this is how the mind works. And hence it is always necessary to first check out the information that we are putting into ourselves. The movies that we see, the information that we see, and the books that we read, what we hear, the kind of company we keep, the kind of friends we interact with, all that leaves an imprint on your mind. So choose your inputs wisely is the takeaway from this. Now, let us understand the nature of the thoughts that come into the mind. The thoughts that come in the mind are called vrittis. Okay, thoughts that we experience in our conscious mind are called vrittis. We cannot get rid of them, but we can control them. Like thoughts keep coming to the mind is always active. So how do you control that? You can't, just block the thoughts from the mind, but one can choose which thoughts to empower and which to ignore. That is a very essential tool that we need to learn. Let us see what kind of vrittis come to our mind. See, there is sometimes we get right information. So, whatever we are thinking is based on either direct perception, like now the sun is shining, so I know it is the day. It is direct perception. If somebody tells me that this is nightfall, I'm not going to believe that. So, my mind is working on pratyaksha praman, which is direct perception and right thinking. Then, right thinking can also be based on inference or anuman, which means that if I see the fire, I'm not going to put my finger in it because I know from inference that my finger will get burnt, right? So that is anuman. And the third kind of praman is agama, which means it is based on reliable information. We have our scriptures, we have science books, we have geography books. When we go to school, our teachers teach us certain things which is based on reliable information, and we accept it without questioning it or without doubting it. So that is agman. So praman, which is right thinking, can be based on pratyaksha, which is direct perception, on anuman, which is inference, and on agman, which is based on reliable information. The other kind of thoughts that enter the mind are viparyaya, which are misconceptions. And actually, if we put our mind to it and try and understand our experiences, a lot of our unpleasant experiences, a lot of our sadness, our grief are all based on misconceptions, which means that we have not done a reality check on the information that we have received, and we unnecessarily bother ourselves and harm ourselves. For instance, as I said, if somebody has said something about you, you keep that in your mind without checking whether that truth is there or not. That is viparyaya. We have certain dogmatic beliefs about certain things. I like this, I don't like this, but okay, for instance, if I say I don't like yogurt or I don't like curds, it may have happened that on that particular day, that yogurt or that dahi didn't taste good. But dahi has different taste every day. But we have fixed our mind to that one experience and we say, I don't like yogurt, so I won't have it. Similarly, it goes with so many things. I don't like this person, I don't like this thing, I don't like this situation. So all these kind of fixed ideas we get, and we have that imprint in our mind, and then our future experiences, our future choices, our future decisions are all based on these misconceptions that we have stuck onto. So it's very, very necessary to do a reality check on the thoughts that we empower and the impressions that we create. The third vritti, the third kind of vritti that we have is vikalp, which is total fantasy, total delusion. We know a lot of people live in their dreamland. The mind can say anything to you. You are the king of England. Nobody is going to refute that because your mind has said that to you, right? But that is the total fantasy. Similarly, we have delusions about ourselves. It may be positive or it may be negative. We may have some negative impressions about ourselves that I can't do this and I can do this. So those then become impediments. If you say in your mind that I can't ever do this thing, which means that you're putting a limitation to your potential. Yeah. So that also is a very important vritti to be examined in the mind. When we say something like that to ourselves, we should do a reality check on that. Then nidra. Nidra is no thinking, where a person doesn't want to use his mind and there are no thoughts in his mind. Like when we are asleep, when we are put to sleep, we have no thoughts in the mind. Smriti is the inability to let go of a memory. This again is based on your past experiences. You have let something hurt you in your childhood. If your teacher has said you are good for nothing in this geography, you're not good at it, you have let that thought fester in your mind and influence your decision even today. Today we are 40, 50, 60 years old, but we believe what the teacher told us when I was 5. This sort of thing is called smriti. We are not able to get rid of a memory that has happened in the past. That again can be pleasant, it can be unpleasant, it can be positive, it can be negative. Today, actually, we are just touching on the few aspects of the mind, but there are, these studies have been done by our rishis in such intricate depths that it really amazes me. And I always wonder why the Western scientists who are psychologists don't refer to this knowledge that the rishis have left for us. So these are the 5 vrittis or kind of thoughts that come in our mind. Praman, which is right thinking, based on pratyaksha, which is direct perception. Anuman, which is inference. Agma, which is based on reliable information. Or you could have misconceptions about yourself and others. You could live in fantasy. You could be sleeping with no thoughts in your mind, or you could be living a memory that has happened long back and you're not able to get rid of it. See, we have to develop the ability to choose which thoughts to empower and which to let go. The first was the ability to choose what we are putting into the mind. So choosing your inputs well, right? The second is to check whether we are doing right thinking or we are having a misconception that we have festered, or we are not letting go of a memory or a past impression that is still influencing my present. So we have to develop the ability to choose which thoughts to empower and which to let go. So often we become a slave to our thoughts. The mind keeps thinking, the thoughts keep coming to the mind. Yeah, but we identify ourselves with those thoughts and we just act out of impulse. We just react to whatever the situation is without actually referring to our intellect. We just let the mind rule us. But if we develop the ability to choose our thoughts and decide which thoughts to empower and which to let go, then this can be done through total awareness. And it is actually a matter of daily practice. We have to develop the intellect. It doesn't happen automatically. We will be looking at the intellect next and how it works. And we will realize that the intellect is not necessarily taking proper decisions all the time. So we have to develop that awareness and intellect which can discriminate between our thoughts. What we need to understand here is the distinction between the mind and the intellect. The mind reacts to the input from your senses, whereas the intellect discriminates and decides and then responds. For instance, if the house help has not done a job properly, and I am angry with that, So my immediate reaction will be what? Anger. And I may say things that will hurt the house help. He may just leave the job and walk away. And where am I? I am at a loss. But if I take a step back and I refer to my intellect and decide which words to choose and how to respond to that situation, and this can happen anywhere, to our subordinates in our office, in our family, talking to the children, talking to our family members. When things don't go our way, we just lose ourselves to anger, right? And react. And then later on, we regret what we said. But if we learn to hold ourselves back at that particular time and think and choose our words carefully so that we express the discomfort at that particular time, but we say it in a way that does not hurt the other people, then we have conveyed what we wanted to convey without harming anyone else, without hurting anyone's feelings. So that is where your intellect helps you. The mind reacts and the intellect discriminates, decides, and then responds. So, watching over the quality, quantity, and direction of your thoughts is very, very necessary. And this, unfortunately, is not taught to us in school. When we were young, when we were in colleges, nobody taught us how to think correctly, what the mind is, what the intellect is, and when to use your intellect, and how to, transact in the world with the people around us. Now, coming to the intellect, this is also very interesting. The intellect has 5 functions. First is understanding and analyzing. So, whatever the mind has perceived from through the 5 senses and the information has come in, the intellect understands and it analyzes it. So if you hear some news, yeah, then you understand it properly, you analyze it, and you think whether it is the correct news or not, whether this news should be acted upon or not, whether this news is something that I can share with others or not. So all that work is being done by your intellect, right? And but here again, you take decisions. But here again, the intellect also is subject to misunderstanding, to viparyaya that we were talking about. And because of that, as I said, most of our decisions cause us grief. The intellect sometimes does not know the difference between temporary versus permanent, between truth versus false, right? It comes in the way of knowing the truth. For instance, you have heard, as I gave you that example, somebody said something about you or something has happened to the third person. Without doing a reality check on that, we immediately rush maybe to that spot, or we immediately come to some conclusions about a certain matter. And then later on, we realize, oh no, this was false. So it's always very important to do a reality check on our thoughts. Am I thinking correctly about this? Have I made the right choice about this person? Maybe, there are so many angles to a person's character. We saw only one instance and then we've decided that this person is no good, that he is he's lazy and he will not do this work. But we didn't go into the circumstances of that particular situation and we have made a conclusion about it. So that is a misunderstanding, a viparyaya, not wanting to check the reality and make decisions. Not knowing the truth comes in the path of spirituality, and also it gives rise to baseless fears and worries. We keep thinking about, oh, ye agar ho gaya to fir, if I am well right now, but if I keep worrying about the fact that I may fall sick later on, then what am I doing? I'm just unnecessarily troubling myself. So these are baseless fears and worries. Such intellect can ruin you. So do reality checks on your beliefs. We have harbored so many beliefs since our childhood, but we need to look into that and do reality checks. So these are the two functions of the intellect: understanding, analyzing. So second is sometimes not understanding, misunderstanding, and causing viparyaya. The third is making choices from options given by the mind. These choices give direction to your life. So here again, the mind has brought in the information from outside, and we have analyzed it, and then we make choices. Again, these choices are based on our past experiences and memories, and hence it is very necessary to recognize which of these memories are worthwhile, which of these memories are dependable before we make these choices. Because the choices that we make are going to be deciding the direction of our lives later. So making choices from options given by the mind is the function of the intellect. Then what the intellect does is labeling your experiences as happy, sad, etc. So whatever we experience, remains in the mind. If I enjoyed having an ice cream today, for instance, that experience has made an impression that I love ice cream, and that having that ice cream is a wonderful experience. So I'll want to repeat that all the time, right? So this kind of labeling happens in the intellect. So also when we make judgments about people, we make judgments about things, we make judgments about situations, and we label them. This is good, this is bad, this is tolerable, this is not tolerable. I like this, I enjoyed this, I did not enjoy that. And then we make our choices. So our direction of life, our choices depend on this labeling as well. Because this labeling and judgmenting leaves an imprint in our memory, which is the chitta, right? We have the man, the buddhi, and the chitta. The chit is where these experiences are being imprinted upon. So labeling your experiences as happy, sad, or being judgmental is being done by the intellect. And then the fifth and a very interesting function of the intellect is putting logic to whatever decisions you make. So which is called tark, vitark, and kutark, which means all the time, whatever choices we make, our intellect is justifying those choices. Whatever we do, whether it's a right choice or a wrong choice, the mind, the intellect has a knack of justifying whatever choices we make, whatever actions we perform. When the justification supports thoughts that enhance your life, it is called vitark. And when you justify thoughts that are actually harming your life, it is called kutark. For example, when you support the fact that you got angry with somebody and you justify it, that person did this, that's why I had to get angry and I had to do what I did. That is justifying, and that is kutark. Whereas when you justify a good deed, it is vitark. So you can imagine how our rishis have gone into the depths of the mind and the intellect and deciphered these different aspects of the intellect and the mind. So mind has, as I said, the 3 functions that we discussed, and the intellect has these 5 functions: understanding, analyzing, misunderstanding, making choices from the options that the mind gives us. Then we also label the experiences as happy, sad, being judgmental, and then applying logic and justifying our actions. So we saw the functions of the mind and we saw the functions of the intellect. So the manas, the inner being, is man, buddhi, chit, and ahankar. So let us understand just very briefly what ahankar is. Ahankar is the I factor, which gives you a sense of identity. If this is dominant, decisions will revolve around preserving and protection of one's identity and glory. So in some people, you find that the I factor is very, very powerful and very strong, and they will not be able to tolerate anything that is critical of what they are. They have justified everything that they are and only live to preserve that glory. That is a heightened ahankar. And some people have the opposite. Some people have very low esteem about themselves. Yeah. And that again influences their choices. So this is how briefly the ahankar works. And then you have the chit. The chit is pure individual awareness, and it is also the seat of where the memories are imprinted upon. So you have the subconscious and the conscious memory. The conscious memory deals with whatever is happening right now and creating the impression. Subconscious memory depends again on your experiences of the past, and new experiences keep happening. And our mind and intellect normally refer to these memories, this chit, this awareness that we have within us in order to make the choices that we make. Mind, as we have seen, is constantly fluctuating between likes and dislikes, sankalp and vikalp. And if this aspect is dominant in the antakaran, decisions will be based on love and hate, likes and dislikes. So as I said, I mean, all our choices are made on these likes and dislikes that we have harbored within our chit. So we need to analyze this. We need to realize where and how the mind and intellect works and how it influences our thoughts. Our mind is a temperamental, aggressive, confused monkey, right? And mental stress, improper diet, improper food intake, improper habits can also cause the mind to be diseased. So we need to take due diligence of this as well. A healthy mind and a healthy body are both required for proper healthy living, right? I'm going to stop here and just give you a few hints of the attitudes of the mind that are helpful to cultivate and which can save our minds. So first of all, we saw how selecting the input, choosing your input well is very important. How reacting to situations, responding to situations is important. How the intellect works and how it is based on the memories and impressions that we create, how those choices are made, and how important it is for us to choose our thoughts well, right? Then some of the attitudes of the mind that we can help to cultivate are friendliness. Have friendly feelings for those who are happy people. When you associate with people who are happy, they will help to rejuvenate you and keep you happy too. Have compassion for those who are suffering. For those who suffer, you can have compassion, but don't become close and friendly to them. because that will again influence your mind. If you associate with dukhi people, their unhappiness, their dukh is going to reflect on your mind and make an impression on it. So, help, compassion, all that is important, but don't associate as friends. Friendliness you keep with happy people, compassion for those that you're suffering, happy for those who are doing good work. Be happy, don't have jealousy for people who are doing well and are succeeding in life. Be happy for them. Encourage them. Encourage people who are doing excellent work. And be indifferent towards those who do wicked things. Don't harbor hatred. That again is a negative attitude in your mind. So don't harbor hatred, but develop a sense of indifference. So these few pointers can help us keep our mind stable and importantly, choose your thoughts well because they are having a direct effect on your mind. That is the most important message that I wanted to share with you today. I hope you have found the talk interesting and given you a few pointers on what our rishis, what scientific knowledge our rishis have imparted to us through these years based and there is a lot more that we can actually study. Very, very interesting subject it is if we delve into it. I would refer to certain YouTubes that you can watch by certain. I'll put it in the chat group if you like. Certain YouTubes that I have watched, but basically commentaries on Patanjali Yoga Sutras by Sri Ravi Shankar, the Art of Living founder, are amazing. You can really have a fantastic insight into the mind and intellect and how to use these tools. The man, buddhi, chit, and ahankar are tools that are given to us in order to fulfill our potential in this life. Using these tools, understanding and using these tools is important. For instance, when we were younger, we never understood that the mind and intellect are tools, our tools. We used to think that we used to identify with our thoughts and mind and intellect. Jo man kahega, wo karte the. Lekin these are tools that we can control to our advantage is something that at least I learned much later. And I feel it is a very, very important aspect of growing up. And I wish that this kind of understanding the mind and the intellect would become a part of student curriculum in colleges, where students and children can learn how to use their mind. We at our age, are much advanced. We've lived most of our lives, and now we get this knowledge, which is actually our heritage. Our rishis have left it for us thousands of years back, and we have not been able to access that knowledge. So this is my little attempt to share that with you and bring it to your notice. And I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or comments, please, you're welcome to unmute yourself.
Can I?
Yes, please, Suresh ji. Suresh ji.
Thanks a ton. Can you hear me, doctor?
Yes, we can.
Just I want to share with you, at this age, whatever I read, even I go to a doctor, all these things, I always use my own judgment and conscience. Whatever I read in the newspapers or TV or YouTube, I don't believe it. I just use my conscience and judgment. This I want to share with you. Thank you. And thanks a ton. Thanks a ton, because I am sharing all your videos to all my friends who can use it. This
Thank
is
you
for
so
your
much.
information and telling you. Thanks a ton.
Thank you so much.
May I say something, please?
Yes, yes.
You see, feelings like worry, fear, anger, the sense of insecurity. We know the factors which pose a problem to our life, mental health, let us say.
Yes.
But if I simply say that you should have friendly thoughts, you should have happy things, you see, avoiding a particular line of thought, it is not possible to avoid it. And the more and more you want to avoid it, the more and more it gets strengthened. You see, let us say that I am worried about death, let us say.
Yeah,
So
today
I
actually,
cannot simply tell myself, no,
yeah,
no,
may
don't
I
worry
say
about it.
something? Yeah, may I say something on that? See,
Sure.
we have a whole science of yoga that deals with this problem. We, unfortunately, only the asanas and pranayams are used over here in most of the yogic schools, but there's a whole science of yoga that can help you deal with this problem and help you deal with all situations in life. First of all, the yamas and niyamas, I think I will take one session on that as well. Knowing the values of our life, based on that, how we can live our lives. Secondly, the pranayams and the pratyahars that that yogic techniques teach us. Breathing is connected to the mind. The manomaya kosh is connected to the annamaya kosh through the pranamaya kosh. We have no way of controlling the mind in all situations rightly, as you said. We cannot control our worries, our anxieties just by wishing to control them. Yeah. But through pranayam, you just practice 2 or 3 pranayams, equal breathing, say deep breathing in and out, square breathing where you take your breath in, hold your breath, breathe out, wait. These are scientific techniques that work directly on the mind. When you experience pranayam, even 10 minutes of pranayam, your worry, your anxiety, your state of mind changes. Simply just exactly like when you are angry, your breath is different. You breathe fast, you breathe shallow. When you're sad, your breath is different. Your rate of heart rate is different. Exactly like that, when you change your breathing patterns, it affects your mind and helps you bring some calmness, some stability, and some composure. Regular practice of pranayam is very, very essential, and I would recommend it to all of us. It is a scientific technique that works directly on the mind. Pranayam, pratyahar, dhyan, dharana, samadhi are scientific techniques that deal with the mind so beautifully that you can reach a state where you are in a state of self-realization. But the first step in our life where we are nowhere near the yogis who have practiced it. The first stage in our life, if we practice pranayam and we understand the difference between this mind and intellect and all these thought patterns, these thoughts are coming and these thoughts are based on my past experiences. The anxiety is based on that. Let me not dwell on that. These little um, dwelling of the mind on these aspects can help you a great deal. Today, if I am upset, yesterday, if I was upset over some matter for days together, today, because of my understanding this subject, because of my practice of pranayam and meditation, I am able to get over unpleasant situations much quicker. I'm not a yogi. I've not reached anywhere, no spiritual elevation yet, but just simple techniques work. Pranayam works, meditation works. It helps us to get over unpleasant situations in life because it helps us to stabilize the mind. And this works at a intuitive level, at a subconscious level. It is not even by intention. which means that if I don't believe in pranayam and I don't believe in meditation, but if I do pranayam and I do meditation, it will still work. That's what I'm trying to say. That these techniques are so scientific, but we have not been given the significance of these. Only exercises and asanas are taught in yogic schools. But pranayam, meditation, if it becomes a daily routine, it can create wonders in your mind. All these anxieties and worries, and yes, as we grow older, these bother us more. But try it. That is my humble suggestion to all of you. Try pranayam, try meditation, and you'll see the difference. Your mind will calm down.
Sure.
Any other?
Madam, may I speak?
Yes, please.
I just want to focus on anger, the feeling of anger. As we grow old, we tend to be more peace-loving and all that. We practice pranayam, we practice meditation, everything is fine. Okay. But it has been my personal observation that as I grow old, I become more short-tempered. I'm not basically a short-tempered person. I am peace-loving. But the people, if the other person is rude, I mean, I can tolerate foolishness in people, but I'm not able to tolerate rudeness, whether it is inside home or outside home. Okay.
Yeah.
So it happens the anger comes so instantaneously if the other person is rude. Okay. He tells something, okay, which he may not mean at all. If he tells something and if it hurts my, I don't take it as an attack on my ego. I take it as an attack on my self-esteem. So immediately there is anger and I talk something which I don't mean, then I regret later. Suppose I keep mum, then also I regret, oh, I should have given him a piece of my mind, So either way, there is a problem. Okay, so how to react? I mean, how not to react instantaneously on an impulsive? Are there any tips you can give? This is one question. The second question is whatever you were telling about the sutras of Art of Living Foundation. You can recommend the particular book that will be useful.
Yes.
And one more, this video, I found it very, very valuable. I got a lot of insights. This, I hope, will be shared, this video, so that I can share with my friends also.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, see, basically for anger, I know it is a very difficult and a very common issue that we have, but this also comes through maturity and understanding. Basically, if we understand that, what the other person say, do, etc., is not our prime concern. I have to do with my spiritual growth. I have to do with what I am. What the other person thinks or says or does about me is not the truth. The other person doesn't know me. I know myself, right? So we don't get affected by what other people think, say, do about us. First of all, it is a very, very, very common practice. I mean, it happens to all of us. We do get affected by but when you internalize, for instance, I also always recommend spending 5 minutes at the end of the day doing introspection. Yeah, aaj subah se sham tak, how did I spend my time? Did I get angry with somebody unnecessarily? Did I say something that I should not have said? This kind of practice, a daily practice, it takes only 5 minutes. But if I want to be in charge of my mind, when we are responding to anger, when we are reacting to anger, we are not in charge of our mind. Whatever said and done, we have lost control over the mind at that
Yes, madam, we almost become unconscious. I mean, we have no control on whatever we are going to say.
So awareness, mindfulness is something that we need to practice. And that awareness and mindfulness is practiced by doing introspection every day. It has to be on a daily basis, because that then settles down as our impression. We
My
today
question is
are,
how to swallow our words. I mean, whether we can count 10. Some people say
at
count
that
from 10 to
particular-
1.
yeah, no, it will happen. It will happen with gradual practice. It will happen with gradual awareness. It won't come overnight. It will come with gradual awareness and gradual practice. Today, you are at least aware enough to say that I should not have got angry. That awareness has come. And now that thought, if you empower that I should not get angry, I should not get angry, empowering these positive thoughts will leave an imprint in your subconscious mind. And next time when you are reacting, you will stop yourself and you'll be able to see that you have overcome that situation much faster than before. It is a matter of practice. It is a matter of awareness, because our tendencies, our habits are ingrained from not just this life, as Bhagavad Gita says, it is from lifetimes. What I am today is from the lifetime. Just sorry. So it is basically our impressions, our tendencies, our character, our habits are all ingrained in us from lifetimes. So what we do today, with my understanding, what I work with on myself, to create a habit also of drinking water every day, should be done at least for another 20, 30 days continuously to be able to form this habit.
But
So
is suppressing anger
my
is
reaction
healthy?
is also a
Suppressing
habit.
anger. Yeah.
No, suppressing, no. You have to override it. It is not a question of suppressing. It is a question of understanding and then overriding. Understanding the fact that this anger is harming me alone, nobody else. This anger is causing blood pressure to me alone, nobody else. This short-temperedness, this, intolerance for mistakes in other people is going to cause me hypertension. Why do I need hypertension? If I then understand the disadvantages of being angry, then I am intelligent enough to be able to control it the next time. And this also has to be practiced daily. Awareness of our our whatever wrong we are doing, whatever mistakes are causing me health problems. First think about your health, then
I
go
guess
and
they should be accompanied by a feeling also. Let others think I am a fool. Okay, I am not able to. I am a coward. Let me not reply back.
First of
Okay,
all,
fine.
what others think should be absolutely ignored.
Yes.
What others think should be absolutely 100% ignored according to the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita. That is absolute nonsense.
The
We
other
waste
person,
our energies, we waste our thoughts so much. Our own potential, how much we waste on what other people think.
other person may be right.
Other
Just
people
like-
don't have time to think about us. We are obsessed with that. Who has the time to think about other people? Do we sit and think about other people? No. We only think about what other people think about us. Why? Total waste of time.
सजनी जी, मैं एक छोटी सी बात आपसे डिस्कस करना चाहता हूँ. नॉट डिस्कसिंग, आई जस्ट वांट टू शेयर समथिंग वेरी relevant to the same thing which we are just discussing, and सब कुछ सुन रहा हूँ मैं. तो क्या है कि मैं अपने अभी मेरे भांजा है, मेरे सिस्टर का सन, he is about 42 years old and did not get married only because of he is a very negative thing. Every time he thought कि मैंने मामा जॉब करी, जॉब करने के बाद मैंने जो टारगेट दिए वो टारगेट भी अचीव कर दिया, लेकिन मुझे उसका सैलरी नहीं मिला. फिर देन आई स्विच ऑफ टू अनदर कंपनी, वहां भी गया तो एवरीवेयर ही गॉट उसको क्या नाम है, फेलियर ही फेलियर मिला। और मैं उसको यही समझा रहा था कि तुम पॉजिटिव रहो, पॉजिटिविटी तुम्हारे अंदर अगर आएगी। अभी वो ही वॉज टॉकिंग, मेरी 1-1.5 घंटे उससे डिस्कशन हुआ। तो बाई चांस मतलब हमारे जीजा जो है वो 5-6 साल पहले की उनकी एक्सपायर हो गए थे। तो माई शी इज ए सिंगल पेरेंट, माई सिस्टर।
हाँ, मैं वही बात कह रही थी कि नेगेटिविटी जो है वो टेंडेंसी बन जाती है, हमारी
टेंडेंसी,
हैबिट बन जाती है, और
बिल्कुल उसकी हैबिट में आ गया वो।
becomes ingrained into you.
हाँ,
That's why
ही
it's
इज
so
ही
important
इज
to
सो
know.
मच नेगेटिव। हाँ, उसको ये लगता है कि
तो
नहीं मेरा
हम
कुछ हो नहीं सकता।
देखिए, हम बच्चों को सिखाते नहीं है कि कैसे सोचना चाहिए, ठीक है ना। कॉलेज में है तो उनको ये पता नहीं होता कि मन जो है, उसके जो थॉट्स हैं उसको इतना पकड़ के बैठने की जरूरत नहीं है, क्योंकि आज ये सोचेगा कल कुछ और सोचेगा, ठीक है ना। इंटेलेक्ट भी जो है वो कभी कभी गलत सोचता है। तो हम, and we as a person, we are beyond the mind, we are beyond the intellect, we are beyond the chit, we are beyond the aham. भगवत गीता हमको कहती है कि मन बुद्धि चित्त अहंकार आपके टूल्स हैं, ये आपको दिए गए हैं कि आप ट्रांजैक्ट करो उनको। आप इतना पावर क्यों देते हो कि आपका माइंड रूल करे? ये अगर बात बच्चों को हम सिखाएं तो इतना डिप्रेशन नहीं होगा, इतना नेगेटिविटी नहीं होगा, इतना फेलियर नहीं होगा। दे विल बी more aware of their own potential and bring the best out of it. That is what Bhagavad Gita does. That is the first lesson of Bhagavad Gita. Make the most of what you are. You don't have to be a sadhu or sant or anything. You live in this world and you make the most of whatever potential you have. लेकिन हम कहाँ सिखाते हैं अपने बच्चों को? And then they become, negative like this and unnecessarily spoil their lives. उनको भी फिर ट्रेनिंग के लिए आप ऐसी जगहों भेजो जहां वो प्राणायाम, मेडिटेशन, पॉजिटिव थिंकिंग, आर्ट ऑफ लिविंग इज डूइंग ए वेरी गुड जॉब, आई वुड से, फॉर यंगस्टर्स लाइक दिस, जो मिसगाइडेड हैं। उनको उनके एज के लोग मिल जाते हैं जो उनको ठीक रास्ते पे सिखा सकते हैं, दिखा सकते हैं। दैट इज माय स्मॉल सजेशन। बाकी तो बहुत ऐसी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस हैं जो करती हैं, बहुत अच्छा काम करती हैं, लेकिन यंगस्टर्स काफी मैंने देखे हैं इसमें जो काफी अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं इस बात में। एनीवन एल्स?
जय जिनेंद्र, गुड मॉर्निंग। वो प्रेक्षण शिविर भी होते हैं मेडिटेशन के लिए और बहुत अच्छा काम करते हैं।
जी जी,
वो एवरी मंथली होते हैं। बेसिकली वो राजस्थान लाडनू में होते हैं, नहीं अब बेंगलोर में भी अभी होगा। अगर आप चाहें तो मैं भेज सकती हूँ। और
हाँ,
कभी
हर शहर में हर जगह अच्छे लोग काम कर रहे
और
हैं।
वो ज्यादा चार्ज भी नहीं है, उधर ज्यादा चार्ज भी नहीं है।
हाँ,
रेसिडेंशियल शिविर होते हैं 8 दिन के, उसमें बहुत सिखाते हैं और वो बहुत इफेक्टिव है। बहुत लोगों का जीवन चेंज किया है बहुत।
ये जो सूत्र है, योग सूत्र हैं, वो इतने पावरफुल हैं कि बात मत पूछो। और लेकिन ये नॉलेज हमको दिया नहीं किसी ने। कितने लोगों ने सुना होगा पतंजलि योग सूत्र के बारे में? कितने लोगों ने सुना है? पढ़ने की बात तो अलग है। मैं जब योगा सीखने गई एज अ टीचर, आई एम अ सर्टिफाइड योगा टीचर, जब सीखने गई तभी मुझे पता चला। और मैं कह रही थी कि इतने साल बीत गए, हमें इतना फैंटास्टिक नॉलेज है जो हम किसी को बांटते नहीं है। माय पर्पस ऑफ टेकिंग टुडेज क्लास वाज दिस, कि ये जो है बच्चों को हम कैसे सिखाएं, पता नहीं करिकुलम्स में कैसे डालें। इतना नॉलेज है हमारे ऋषियों ने दिया हुआ हमको। Okay, so shall I bring us to the end of the program? Thank you very much for joining in today, and we'll finish with 3 ohms. Om. 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 Namaskar and have a lovely day, all of you.